Let me go over the structure of Deuteronomy. I was reading Lord Sachs last night, and he was saying that there have been a number of covenants or treaties archaeologically unearthed from the land of Shinar, the land around the Euphrates River, and so forth. And there's two kinds of treaties that they've unearthed, and apparently quite a few of them. One is a treaty between peers, where the two parties to the treaty are of approximately equal power. And the other one is a treaty where one party is much stronger than the other. So the weaker party then becomes a vassal of the stronger party. And in a suzerainty treaty, according to Sachs, and I have no question whatsoever that he's right, they had 6 parts. And I'll read this from Sachs. 1, they begin with a preamble, establishing the identity of the person or power initiating the covenant. This is followed by 2, a historical prologue, reviewing the history of the relationship between the two parties to the covenant. Then came the provisions of the covenant itself, the stipulations which were stated in 2 forms, general provisions and detailed provisions. Then followed 4, a provision for the covenant to be deposited in a sacred place and read at regular intervals. So once the covenant was cut, it was deposited somewhere sacred, and you had to read it at regular intervals. And then 5, the sanctions associated with the covenant, namely the blessings that would follow if it was adhered to, and the curses that would occur if it was broken. And then finally, there's a statement of the witnesses to the agreement, usually the gods of the nations involved. That's Deuteronomy. First is the preamble, which is Deuteronomy 1:1 through 1:5. It announces the place, time, and person initiating the covenant that follows, Moses on behalf of God. Then the historical prologue. That's what we read last time, 1:6 through 4:49. That's where he recounted, I took you out of Egypt, we went to Sinai, we wandered in the wilderness, all that stuff. That's the historical prologue. And that's 1:6 through 4:49. Then 3 are stipulations. General provisions become the 10 Commandments, the Shema, and so forth. Special provisions are the detailed laws with specific reference to how they are to be carried out by the people as a whole in the land of Israel. So you've got the 10 Commandments as sort of a general set of laws, but then you've got these detailed laws that go on for page after page after page. 4, disposition and regular reading. The law is to be inscribed on stone at Mount Ebal. The Torah written by Moses and placed in the ark is to be read in public at a national assembly by the king every 7 years. Sanctions and curses, that's chapter 28, 29, and 30. Famous blessings and cursings, part of it. And then finally the witness is chapter 30, 19 through 32, 21, which is where he calls heaven and earth as witness. So what Deuteronomy is basically a legal written covenant between God and the people of Israel. And it follows the form of the other covenants that they have discovered archaeologically in that region of the world. A couple of things that are different about this covenant. First difference, of course, is that one of the parties is God. That's not usually the case. The second thing that's different is the second party to the covenant is not the king of Israel. It is the people of Israel. So what gets established here is the idea that the covenant is between certainly the nation Israel, but the nation as comprised of individuals, and the individuals in the nation are held responsible for upholding the provisions of the covenant, as opposed to in a standard State Department thing, the 2 kings or the 2 presidents or the 2 prime ministers execute this thing, and they are binding certainly their nation to follow it. But if you go out and violate some provisions of the United Nations Code or whatever, you're not held responsible personally. Whereas if the nation does, then theoretically you would be. Understand what's being set up here. This is a formal treaty or covenant between God and the individuals in the nation of Israel.